Yeah, what up, everybody? Huey here, and I quickly want to talk about the setup of the week. A setup that has blessed me pretty much all week long. It's tested my patience, and it has given me a positive a green account pretty much every day. I hit my goal, and nothing crazy, but I'm really testing my discipline out more than anything else. So before we get into the play of the week, excuse me, the setup of the week, I want to get into the play of the week, right? This is a play that if you watched my weekly watch list video, which should be somewhere on your screen right now, then you would have seen that this ticker was on our watch list. It was locked and loaded, ready to go, right? So we analyzed it on this day. If you look at the top chart, we analyzed it on this day, on the 25th. And so it looked like it had, there was some levels to the upside and downside. And come Monday, T-Money had called out a CVX 143 call at $1.76, right? So if you look at the chart down below on the left, this is CVX 143 call on the left, and on the right you have the 144 call, right? So the 143 call, he called it at 176. And so it popped, and it gave you like a very, very nice profit that day. And let me go ahead and just change my candle color so it's a little bit clearer. Okay, so it gave you a nice little pop that day. He called it on pretty much on the first candle of the day, on the 30-minute at 176, and it hit a high of day at the beginning of the day at 267. So a nice percent gain, probably like a 45% gain, something like that. Calculate it for yourself. And then it pulled back, right? So let me go into CVX. Let's go into the intraday a little bit so we can kind of see where the action was, right? So we have this is it, right? So we have T-Money's call out, which I believe was on this either this candle, one of these two candles, right? One, he called it at 176, and it ran, and then it kind of pulled back. Now I saw that it had pulled back to kind of a trigger level. You could draw some fibs on this, whatever the case is, but I liked it because it kind of pulled back to a previous high of day. So around that time, I had said, if you look over to the server, it says good spot to add to your CVX position from T's call out. And I'm entering CVX 144 at 1.7 from my watch list analysis, right? And so we jumped in, and it kind of popped at the end of the day. It gave us a high on the contract of at the end of the day, it gave us a high of the contract of 267. So it just went back to that high of day. But CVX went on a rampage and kind of ripped all week long. And so if you would have held it even to the next day, you got a nice pop so the next morning it popped into a high of 7.3. And if you would have held it into today, you would have got on T's contract from 1.76 to 1635 high of today. And on my contract from 170, you would have gotten all the way to 1585, which are just around 900% returns. So, so we're very, very proud of that. And so I think that we can easily qualify that one as a play of the week. Now on to the setup of the day. So the setup that has kind of been paying me pretty much all day is I've been playing SPY. The reason why I've been playing SPY is because I'm looking for liquidity. I don't want to think too much about anything. I kind of just want to jump in, take the trade, and bounce, right? So and then let me pull up my contract real quick. So I had a bearish thesis on SPY, and I think we can, everybody in my server can agree that we're in bear mode right now, just because there's no reason to play calls in this kind of we're in this downtrend, so why play calls, right? When puts have much more strength. So I played a 0-day, I believe it was a 428p. Let's see if it was a 428. Yeah, I believe it was a 428. I'm gonna go to the 1 minute time frame, and let me see if I can find here it is. Yeah, 428p's. Okay, so I'm just gonna reel this into okay, right there. So we have the market open candle here, and we have the crosshairs synced, right, on top and bottom. So the setup that continued to bless for me particularly was obviously bear flags, or pretty much anything that's bearish that tells me that the market is going to continue to go down. So I took the 428p's, and my initial entry was at 9:52 a.m., which is on this candle. Actually, let me put my study set so you can kind of see why why I decided to jump into this play. Let me see, where is it? Is it this? Yeah, this is it. So I got into this play at 10:09, which is on this candlestick right here. The reason why I got in at, and I got in at 10:09 and I got filled at $1.56 on my original entry. And it's, you know, admittedly, this was a terrible entry. I mean, you know, the reason why I jumped in is because I kind of saw this rejection here at the opening of the day, right? It went to a high and rejected immediately. Then it came back to that area and kind of pushed down and rejected and put this big ass red bar, right? A bearish engulfing. And it crossed through both moving averages. It crossed through the VWAP. It crossed through my market post line, and it kind of flushed from there, right? And then it came back and retested kind of the 921 EMA cloud on a 1 minute, and then it flushed. So I'm like, all right, cool. I just need a nice bearish setup, and I'm gonna take it, right? Now, all week, SPY has been rejecting this kind of 921 EMA, and whenever it's super bearish, it'll just kind of touch the 9 and then continue to flush. So I was looking for that. So I entered on this candle at 952, and I got in at a price of 156. Terrible entry, near high of day on the contract, right? At this point, the high of day on the contract was 208, and I had got in at 156. So, I mean, you know, I had a little bit of room. I had like a maybe 40%, 45% left if the stock if the option would have went back to high of day, right? So not terrible, but not the best entry in terms of technicals on the chart, right? And so I got in there immediately. My setup was invalidated, and it kind of made a new high, a higher low, and then it gapped through both moving averages, the market post, and the VWAP in 2 candles. So that's super duper bullish. And then on that third candle, we got a 9 crossing above the 21 EMA, which is all bullish right here. So I'm like, all right, I didn't get to add. My initial reaction was like, let me wait for it to do whatever it's going to do at VWAP. Hopefully it rejects and then comes back down and makes a lower low. It didn't do that. It gapped, right? So I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? What's the plan here? I have half position. I'm in at 156. At this point, by the time it gets to VWAP, I'm down like 30%. So I'm like, what am I going to do? Am I going to hold this? I mean, I have the rest of the day, blah, blah. So I'm like, what am I going to do? So I held it, and I said, you know, since it was showing strength, I said, let me see if it's, and I saw a bunch of kind of sellers step in on this candle. And then I looked, attention span of a flea sometimes with this market, but I looked over to the left and I remember that we had this kind of double tap here where we failed. So I'm like, all right, clearly we're going to go back to test that level. And if I break above the high of the day, which was on this candle, which the high of the day was 432.49, then I'm going to get out of my setup. And I think at that point I was down 50%. I was willing to take the risk of holding it through, through the break of that. And I was looking for like a 5-minute candle to kind of open and close, and then another candle to start forming above it for me to say, all right, I'm done. And I would have got killed in the trade, and I would have been totally out of the trade, right? It would have been a train wreck. But it did exactly what I hoped it did, which was form a kind of a tap and fail and like really flush from this level. So you can see my next entry was at 10:01, which is exactly on this candlestick. When I saw that it kind of formed the green candle, but then immediately seller stepped in and brought it down. So I entered here at 10:01. And another reason why I entered is if you look at the actual contract, then you'll see that we made a new low of day on the contract. And so I was confident that based on a double tap and based on the rejection of that line, that we can now come back to at least test a VWAP, right? Test a VWAP, get through the 921, get through the market pulse. Market pulse, you know, at the beginning of the day was green, and then it kind of was red until we gapped through it, but it didn't show any. And I'm looking at this kind of red line here in the middle here, this one that I'm highlighting. It didn't show me any green, even though we were above it and above the VWAP and above the moving averages and all that, right? So, but this typically acts as a level of support and resistance, especially on the larger time frames. So I was waiting for it to kind of signal that there was more on the move. So I mean, really, it didn't give me a green signal, so we're fine, right? We can, you know, there's a bunch of things that told me that this was a good spot to enter, and I got the perfect entry at 10:09. And so my second entry was, the second half of my position was 1.04 per contract. And then you see what it did. It went for back to back bunch of red candles. This candle, I sold half of my position on this candle because I saw this big red body after a 7 back-to-back sell candles. So I thought that this was kind of an exhaustion candle, and we were going into this previous kind of area where we stopped before, right? So I was looking for a bounce here or something, right? So I sold at 163 on this candle, $1.63 per contract, and then I kind of held the rest for risk because I was going to say maybe it's going to come back to retest the VWAP once more before continue down, but immediately it kind of flushed. It formed this big bearish engulfing candle here, and then it continued to flush. Now at this point I'm up like 90%. I had already every day I come into the market thinking about you know, what's my goal for the day, right? What's my goal for the day? So my goal for today was to make 10% of my account. And again, like I said at the beginning of the video, I've been green every day this week, thank God, and let me hopefully keep that that streak going. But you know, so I had made my goal. I went from red to green on this trade, which would have brought me to red for the day. But I went from red to green on the account. I met my goal. And at this point, I was already kind of, and I had this line here, and at this point, I was already like 80%, 90% up on the trade, right? So I saw it kind of wicking, and a bunch of buyers were stepping in at this area at 428.86, which is a key level. And at 1017, which is this candle here, I decided to get out. And the reason why I decided to get out was because I'm in a 428p, and we're currently at 429. So there's a whole dollar move in order for me to get in the money. And this is a 0 day, you know, 0 day till expiration contract. It expires today. And as you know, Theta eats into these contract premiums like crazy, right? Theta's extra hungry on Fridays. So, so I decided, let me just get out. And if I find if there's a better entry, then I'll take it. Otherwise, I don't need to, because at this point I had already, I made my goal for the day. I actually doubled my goal for the day. I sold out my last contract at 1017 for $1.97. So, you know, so I saw my setup, I took it, and this particular setup, this bear flag, or actually double top, has been paying me pretty much all week on SPY. So it worked out for me. And as you can see, you know, if you guys know anything about me, you know that I'm typically a swing trader, and I like to kind of buy things and give them time to play out. But this market hasn't really given us the opportunity to let that happen. So, you know, so unfortunately, I've had to kind of shift my strategy into scalping and day trading. And so that's what I did all week. And all week I've been getting blessed on my account, thankfully. So if you guys want to talk more strategy, or you want to learn a little bit of technical analysis, which led to me knowing that this is a good entry spot, or anything like that, then go ahead and tap in with us. As you can see on the right hand side of your screen, you can see you can catch us at goldrushgang.net, or visit us on social media at Gold Rush Academy, and you can do this for yourself too, right? We're trying to build, our first goal was to build a bunch of monsters, and now we have a bunch of monster traders in our server, who put money in my pockets all the time, right, with their plays. And now our goal is to kind of help people to bring in that side income, and for some of them to kind of go full-time trading. So a big goal of ours, and we'll be very excited if you would join us. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching this video. And I really appreciate you guys watching this channel. Like and subscribe if you like the content, and there will be more. Peace, guys.